Yo, Foul Hooked Whitey's back. The Modobi interviews, episode 2. So Modobi, so we talked about Scott. So who else do you want to talk about? I know who you rep. You got a good book of biz.
Yeah. I'm fortunate enough to have some really great.
You do.
Manufacturers.
I also think you've got vendors out there, and I want to talk about the changes in the industry. Okay, but the vendors that you've got are all sellable. You know, you're not bringing me anything. You know, let's talk Corkers.
Yeah.
Okay, Corkers is a good boot.
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, so
it's interesting. I won't pick up a product that I don't believe in.
Well, I bet you not after all these years.
No, not after all these years, right? I'm not going to sell.
Because you can lose money, right?
Well, the one thing also that when I first came in as a sales rep was I came with a little bit different experience. I had owned a shop.
True.
Right?
True.
So I wasn't going to walk in and just sell you something so that I could make the money, or I could show this manufacturer that I was able to book a bunch of product from.
Right.
If I didn't believe in the product, I passed it up.
So you believe in Corkers?
Yeah.
All right.
It's been an amazing product.
So we're just for those 38 of you out there. Corkers is of course the wading boot that has got a replaceable outsole. And as a retailer, one of the biggest benefits to me with Corkers is I sell a ton of their fucking outsoles.
Oh,
I mean, damn.
It's such an adaptable product. If you're going steelheading, if you're going to this environment.
Yeah, I mean, when I sell another vendor's boot, that's it.
That's it. Yep.
There's not a dime that'll come after that unless 4 or 5 years down the road, the dude A doesn't know he needs to replace them, so he's buying new laces. But so Corkers is kind of like it's a good product to me because their accessories are legit, and I'm going to make another comment too. They're studded and their aluminum barred product is the best fucking wading outsole in the sport. They're superb, and I want to give that up to them because rubber. When people come into my shop and they're like, "Well, what do you think felt to rubber?" I'm like, bottom line. If you buy rubber, you're going to have to fucking cleat them.
Yeah.
I don't care what you buy.
Nobody's figured out rubber, and if they did, it would say Nike.
Foam, or I'm sorry, felt. The value for me, and I'm a felt fisherman. Yeah. I don't ever fish Yellowstone Park. Right. Is that felt, if they're in good shape, just works best.
I agree.
So why the younger generation is the rubber generation. Yeah. The anglers buying rubber to me is somebody under 40, certainly under 30, that kind of thing.
A little bit more nimble on the river.
I'm not really fucking sure. I just think it's been their generation, right? When the invasive species thing went down 15 years ago, right? That's when it kind of started. Right. I mean, and so the versatility of being able to go from felt to rubber, right, with Corkers, fuck it, it's legit.
Yeah.
I mean, historically, I mean, they've learned how to get this good.
Yes.
Right? Because
100%.
Taking an outsole off of a boot and putting a different one on, I mean, that comes off as hokey.
Yes.
I tell the people straight up, I'm like, that's not hokey, that's legit.
Yeah. And we had, and I'm always shooting it honest. We had some issues in our early development that the soles were coming off. They were just.
That's what I meant.
And Brian Cheney, the owner of the company, is a very great guy, very analytical guy. I've never seen more numbers in front of me than when Brian sends me something. But through his research, we found out that it was in the molding process. That whole sole design is poured into a mold. And after about 500 of these soles being made, the mold would stretch. So it wouldn't have that grip. It wouldn't have that grip inside when you put the adjustable sole in there.
Yeah.
So since then, we remold everything after 500 pairs.
Yeah.
And now I haven't seen an issue.
No, I mean, you don't. I sell them decent, right?
I used to. I mean, I'm the Corkers rep, and every shop would just shy me away, going, "I'm tired of seeing those soles on the bottom of our rivers. It's just trash. It's just this."
That's hype,
and that's not been your experience, right?
No. I mean, well, basically, I mean, it certainly recent memory.
Yeah.
and for quite a while. That's not an issue.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's not an issue.
No,
and,
it's not.
I explain to consumers, anglers all the time, there's nothing that gets the fucking beat down like your boots.
Yeah. No,
so remember that shit. I mean, there's nothing that takes a beat down. Maybe fly lines.
Right.
But in terms of real beat down wear, boots are it. So for me, I'm going to sell more Simms boots than anything just because they're good boots.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But when it comes to the versatility option, that's where fucking Corker steps in. For me, I have to have Corker's boots.
Right. I want to touch in on the value
Yeah.
of the boots also. I mean, most of our product is sitting under $210 for a adaptable sole. It comes with rubber. It comes with felt.
The price doesn't matter.
No, I understand price doesn't matter.
I mean, I don't mean that like there's no arrogance in that, and I mean it. But what I'm saying is that if you want a good boot now, okay, and yeah, there's some good entry-level boots out there, including yours, which you come in at all felt at what, $120?
Yeah,
yep.
For the greenback.
Yep, and that's a good boot.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is that somebody who walks into my shop, 90% of them want a good boot.
Right.
So for me personally as a retailer, and I'm not in Snobville here.
Right.
But you're going to sell a $200, $200 to $300 boot most, in my opinion.
Right. Gotcha.
So the value isn't the deal. I think the value with the Corkers comes right down to that outsole change. They've got a great lineup of boots. I mean, how many do you have? 6 or 8?
There's probably 6 or 7 models.
I mean, and
now we brought out our first fixed sole boot. We brought out the Chrome Light.
Okay,
which is
right.
kind of a run and gun boot.
Yep.
But nice rubber sole that can be extravated. It can actually be studded. And a lot of the younger guys have started to generate towards that just because, it's funny how the wading boot manufacturers have all of a sudden caught up with where the hiking boot manufacturers did 20 years ago.
Well,
when was the last time you saw a waffle boot and leather uppers on a hiking boot? Right?
There's a ton of hybrid, action out there. Right. But with Corkers, I like the fact that they're kind of like Scott. It can also be for the consumer that just doesn't want what everybody else fucking buys, and there is that mentality out there.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. I touched on Simms a little bit, and some people would think that Simms is like maybe the old guy brand. And that's no diss on him.
No, no.
That's the dollar. I mean, that's the thing. I don't agree with that because as it pertains to like the boot business, they make a great product. Corkers makes a great product, and there's others that do some out there, but a customer damn near has to come in and ask for it.
Right.
That's kind of the thing. I mean, don't you think that your shops sell your goods based on their belief in that product?
Oh, 100%.
100%. I mean, there's so much gear on the market, right?
Right. And I think they're a good consumer is walking into that independent fly shop, asking the right questions, wanting to know why this product over that product, or I need this product for this specific area or this specific river.
You give consumers direction based on your beliefs, okay?
Yeah.
But there was an upstart fly line company about 10 years ago, and I had a casual meeting with like the owner and the industry guy, good dudes. And the guy was like, you're not really turning our lines. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's been soft with them. And he's like, well, you got to push them more. And I'm like, motherfucker, I don't have to push nothing. What are you fucking talking about? You need to advertise. You need to get your product in the hands of somebody that's going to write a fucking article about it.
Right.
Because going back to the internet, going back to those devices, those do nothing but aid a guy like me.
Absolutely.
Right? And with Corkers, they're in the know.
Well, I've always said, if the product's good, it will be shown. It will be told.
Yeah.
I touched on this earlier in my rounds. I'm on my back end of my preseason 2025 rounds. And I used to have this little, I guess, thought of guides, and where they're going to help sell product. And
okay,
I've
I understand
I've gotten way away from that.
I understand that. I get it. But guides are quirky.
Well, here's where I'm going to change the scene on that is what I have noticed and what I've heard in the retail establishments are the guide's not pushing the product, but he's wearing the product. And if they start to see that, though consistently, like we brought out that wet wading shoe, which has been
I've sold a ton of them. Oh my god,
it's been perfect for the guides.
Definitely the best sandal ever.
Yes. Yeah.
And very
with
likely
an adaptable sole.
Right. That's why. Right. I want to touch on the guide thing because that's a good comment. Yeah. Obviously, a vendor would want a competent to above average guide wearing his waders in front of that 130 clients, right? But a guide isn't going to spend 2 fucking seconds talking about gear when he's guiding.
No,
I mean, not a fucking. I mean,
no,
it just doesn't work like that.
Sir.
They're fucking busy, they're doing their jobs, and so it's all just exposure, right? So what are you saying, that you should like give every guide a free pair of corkers?
Well, not free, but we definitely have the resources to give out certain things to ambassadors. We have the guide program, which I know you've touched upon quite a bit in your podcast, but then again,
I'm
Rich,
down with the guide program for a guide.
Listen, I can.
Whoa!
What I love about this, and I've told you 100 times, it's the truth.
It is.
Right?
Oh
it's
my
the
God!
Truth.
Jesus.
And you and I have wonderful conversations off screen, but it's should the manufacturer support the guides as much if you can find the right ambassadors. Absolutely. Like you said, the guy that's writing, the guy that has another blog, or the guy that's...
Yes.
It's weird how that has went that way in my career, right?
God.
It went from a guy who wrote a couple of articles in Trout Unlimited magazine to how many followers.
I've been open 17 seasons, and out of those 17 seasons, I probably work 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Right?
You do.
So for me, I mean... The only way you get credibility at all is putting in the fucking time. And there's no doubt social media has let certain people kind of, jump to that credibility because of the exposure and the followers and this and that. But, I want to get back to Corkers real quick here. Yeah. Corkers, I just got to give them some credit because it's very, very, very difficult to really survive in the business with a fucking boot brand. Yeah. I mean, seriously. I mean, they're going up against...
And it's just boots.
They're going up against fucking...
Boots.
That's right. They're going up against Sims. They're going up at, Patagonia. Orv. I mean, all of it. Brands with big dollar. And able to really... So, Corkers has done a good job, in my opinion, being a boot brand I gotta fucking have.
Yeah.
So tell them that, all right?
Yeah, I will. I got one little plug for you.
All right.
Check out
their
winter brand.
Are you talking in boots?
Corkers does an amazing winter. Think of it.
What the fuck would be a difference between?
For the ranchers, for the oil field workers.
Okay, well, so that obviously that's not in any catalog. I see.
Right? No. I mean, no, they have a. But I'm just going to tell your listeners the
38.
Well, we could have lost a couple more now that I'm on there.
32 after today. Jesus. Okay. Go ahead. Plug this fucking rancher's boot.
But check this out. Yeah. Just go look for the Corkers rancher boot, because the ice fisherman guy. I mean, it's not our industry, but it is a really neat part.
So I got to wrap this up with Corkers. So true or false? They their inception was like fucking logging industry.
Correct.
Somebody told me that, and I was like, what? And so that was interesting. I mean, holy shit. Was that because of the ability to spike up that shit?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it was out of the Oregon, because they're based out of Portland, Oregon.
Wow.
So you had this big logging industry
Crazy.
there. And, the guys were still moving logs down rivers on
God, can you believe that shit?
It's crazy, right?
I sell zebra midges for a living, man. Look at those fuckers did. Oh my God.
Spike boots on, riding a 20-foot fir tree down the river.
But clearly that's an interesting point when it comes to corkers, in the sense that they've got a product that a guy like me who sells them doesn't even know about, which is this, pitch to ranchers and that type of gig, and their history, the logging industry. And you want to talk about the necessity for good footing. Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, Corkers has been around.
Thank you.
You betcha. Okay, that's the end of the Foul Hooked Whitey. The Modobi interviews, episode 1, episode 2, done. And we'll be back with episode 3. We're going to bore you further. Foul Hooked Whitey out.